as if you loved your children above all else. Thank you.
Whoa! Okay, that is not the psych up I needed for my show.
You couldn't get to today, please check out our website at greennews.radblog.com. Find, follow, and share us far and wide on the Facebooks and the Twitters at Green News Report. I'm Brad Friedman.
And I'm Desi Doyle.
And this has been your Green News Report.
Okay, wow, that was a lot to process. This is Monkey Mind, I had to think about it for a second, with Rob Owen. This is 102.3 FM you are listening to. We are community radio, and this show is all about brain cancer and what else is it about? Oh, being in your moment. Being in your moment. Yeah. So the prologue to this show is I'm Rob, and I had got diagnosed with brain cancer like 2005 or something like that. And so yeah, so it was a big eye opener for me, and lots of medical stuff, brain surgeries, chemotherapies, and what else did I do? Oh, radiation. Anyway, so it's a big thing to process, and right now in the background you're hearing, hopefully you're hearing it. This is Red Priest on guitar, and he's playing a instrumental of Monkey Mind, which is a song I wrote and sang on. Yeah, so anyway, so back in like 2005, something like that, I got diagnosed with a GBM brain cancer, and they pretty much give you like kind of 6 months to live on that. So I was like, what? But a long process of healing. I had a lot more speech impediment prior and absent-mindedness, and I think my brain has kind of healed itself. So yeah, so I've been real grateful for that. Hey, babe. And yeah, so I just had an MRI. Okay, so back to the prologue thing. So I had the diagnosis, and then I did treatment and stuff like that. I did this like kind of new chemo, and then my brain it went kind of stagnant, and then so I did a bunch of MRI up till relatively pretty recent, and then it came back just a couple months ago. So that's what, like 13, 14 years. I'm just throwing that out there. But so yeah, so then they came back, a couple months ago, and they said, well, we have like an area that we think is a tumor, or yeah, basically that. They thought it was a tumor over my cerebellum and what is it called? Brainstem, my brainstem. And it's kind of funny, but so the doc that I go to now, I got like 2 docs that's specific on my brain health or my tumors or whatever. And yeah, so he was a trip, because then I had heard that that's an inoperable area, and I just had a meeting with my other doc, and all these brain surgeons are pretty seem like they're pretty cocky. Like my first one, his nickname was God, and then the second one was acted like he was like a fighter pilot, and had all that kind of swagger, and this guy does not fit the mold, but he just kind of radiates. He's I don't know, he's a real character. Always wears a little bow tie, kind of petite guy, and but yeah, no. But once I told him, I kind of told him on my last meeting, which was just the other day, that yeah, that it's an inoperable area, like that he was kind of out of the equation, and he was like, Rob, no area is inoperable. Spoken like a true cutter. That's what he's like, man, I can go in. He basically saying I can go in anywhere, but it's like you gotta, I guess, weigh the risk with the reward. Like it has to be pretty dramatic to want to do that. Yeah, so that was kind of a trip. And I also kind of asked him, so yeah, so I've had this, huge, back to the prologue thing, I've had this huge lag of just nothing kind of going on with cancer in my brain. And I had brain origin cancer as well. So it didn't metastasize out of my body into my brain. And so yeah, so then next week I have actually two kind of dueling. I don't want to create a fight, but they kind of don't seem like they see totally eye to eye, which I can imagine. And doctors have a huge amount of what we'll talk about here, the ego thing and the identification. But that was a huge help, and also is part of the name of the show that I do, Monkey Mind. And I see my scallywags walking out in the hall. Yeah, okay, dude. Yeah. All right. Because Russ is out there clearing my thoughts. He's waving at me. Okay, so yeah, they just got a lot of swagger, and these doctors, and I mean, I guess in a way you got to, but I don't know. Humility. Yeah, so it's had a process. So I have these two doctors. One is more oncology, which is basically dealing out the drugs, and I think managing kind of what happens maybe. I don't know. Maybe I don't really understand that part, but I know it has to do with the medications that you do. So he manages that, and that's pretty much a pretty key thing because cancers like splinter out kind of like crabs and so forth, and so it's like it has like little shoots out in little like strings or something, and so that was the initial debate, is because which most cancers I think actually go into, but some just stay a one or a two, and you die from something else. And yeah, I kind of lost that train of thought there. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, we're kind of scattered. I just did. I've been on chemo. I'm back on chemo again because of this area. I don't know if I articulated that at all. But yeah, so I have over my brainstem basically like an area, and basically my doc the other day that I was just talking about, the bow tie petite guy who said he can go in anywhere for surgery. I was like, well, what is it? Because I was like, what do you think it is? And what are the options here? Could it be dead tissue? Because dead tissue and tumor look basically the same on an MRI. And he was like pretty adamant that he thought it was a brain cancer, like a low grade, which they initially were debating because it's so far from where my initial right frontal lobe was. That's where the spot where my GBM was diagnosed. And yeah, so far from that one. They initially were kind of thinking, but now he was kind of saying he thinks it's from that initial thing. There was just some little piece that I guess got its way over there or something like that. Because then I was always thinking like, well, come on, what are the odds you're going to win the lottery twice on this, right? Like you're going to get two separate brain cancers. I mean, it just seems kind of weird. I must be having bad thoughts. So yeah, so that's been what I've been dealing with lately. Oh, and I just did on this chemo that I'm on now. So now I'm on Timidar or Dor, something like that. And yeah, so I'm on that, but I I didn't take. So I was battling so much, or battling. Yeah, I haven't. I shouldn't be battling. I should just be like doing my best to make something happen. But you know, working with like insurance companies, these prices you can get. I had one person tell me $800, and this was my insurance company, and this poor sweetie that I called, you know, like I guess the outsource who does the customer service. She just had to kind of overwhelmed for sure, and so I called her up, and she was like, "Well, it looks to me like you should be paying $800," and I think that was just like for one of them. And then I go to this other group, and they end up charging me for all my medications for that thing. It was like $40. So it is like a huge transition. And it's like, what? It's like, and none of them were on the same page. None of them. And it's just kind of, you got to kind of go with the flow, but then you got to kind of make your own flow. And I think it really pays to call back. If you get somebody on a phone for customer service that's not working out for you, just tell them you got something to like look into, and then you call back at another time, and just politely hang up the phone. Call back. Who you get on the phone will be all the difference sometimes in the world. But wow. Yeah. So anyway, so I eventually got this great price, and I was pretty stoked on that. But then I didn't get my anti-nausea meds, and I was kind of a little cocky about it because I didn't know how they're so tiny, the tiniest little pill. And I remember back in the day when I did the first GBM treatment, and I was on this real intense chemo, they would give you like a whole packet of these anti-nausea medications, and I mean one of them looked like a horse pill. I mean it was big. You had to like lubricate your mouth and your throat a little bit before taking that sucker down, and you had to like, you know, really do the swoosh on the deep throat. But yeah, but these are like the tiniest little pill, and so I was kind of thinking, but I didn't take it, and whoa, that kicked my butt. It kicked my butt. I was throwing up from like 2, so I took it at like, the chemo I took it like 8 o'clock, and then at 2 o'clock I think I got up and I just did that, you know, rush to the bathroom, made it, and then just started, you know, heaving up, and then it was every 20 minutes until the morning, or roughly that, and so that was, I almost did the set up a pallet on the bathroom floor, and I was like thinking, whoa, I don't know if I'm gonna need help tomorrow, because I didn't know how like out of it I was gonna be from all that heaving up. And then after a while, I guess I just started producing like some kind of natural bile or something, just enough that you could keep throwing something up. But yeah, so that was kind of an eye opener. And I was thinking it's such a religious kind of experience, the throwing up. It's just like such a kind of weird purging kind of thing. But I definitely was, I was definitely feeling pretty wimpy that night. I was feeling pretty alone too. Just like nothing like just being by yourself and just being kind of, you know, physically where you're just out of it. I mean, you can't really control what's going on. You're just, yeah, that was weird. So then in the morning, so I was like, all right, I looked up online when that new place I got, where I got the meds at a reasonable rate, when their hours were, and I made sure first thing I went there and got it and popped one of those things, and I felt better since. So I was a little shaky last night because I had to do it again, and so that was a little spooky. But then it worked out pretty good. I didn't feel like that. But I'm feeling a little drained, a little bit. But like I said, it's good. It's like you gotta really learn to appreciate even being barfing, and you know, get your lowest low. Give yourself a little mental hug. Yeah, it's just you know, weird. strange things, I guess, or maybe not so strange. It's just is what it is. Had a cool road trip. I went out to Florida and then back. I picked up this fun surfboard, and it's funny. You get so geared up for something, and then it's like, you gotta really appreciate, I guess, the things that you have. And a lot of times things are a burden. You get all this stuff, and I was like, what do I do with all this stuff? But yeah, I got to see my Reiki. If y'all remember from one of the previous episodes, Cecilia. So she cooked me a meal, and we talked, hung out. Got to do another show with her. I think she has something in mind she wants to really share. And since she saw how the show goes, so yeah, so that's always fun. Appreciative seeing her and my friends. They are so special to us. Yeah, so what else was I doing on the GBM? We got, oh yeah, and I was thinking too, man, this is like I was like kind of dissing on the medical thing, like with all these different prices. I was like, man, this is really a racket. But I guess it is just typical commerce, just business. I mean, why is this anything different? It's supply and demand. Who's got what? Wheeling and dealing, trying to get the most money. I mean, it's kind of the nature of nature of things. And I have this other group that I'm going to try and get a little bit more involved with, or at least try and get them into some other kind of venue. They got like this GBM site that's on. I tried to send them an invite to listen to this, but I doubt that went through. It was kind of last minute. But yeah, so I think I mentioned this to y'all before. It's this site, and basically it's like, you join up, and typically it's your family member, it sounds like. Or at least that's what I'm hearing on the people that are booting out. So clearly they made it up, I think, or they're doing it together, I guess. Anyways, this website devoted to people with GBM, so they have like an outreach, share medical stuff, I guess just get some support. But it seems a little like cold to me, like it's a black screen where it has like a white font on it. So it's like that, very computerized looking thing. And then the gist is you get so much of these emails where it's like, please take me off this site or something, because the person died. So you're getting like this constant thing. And then the other day I was reading some of them, and I just get distracted doing stuff. But they were speaking so much about hating, like what an evil thing this cancer is, like how evil it is and all that. And it's like what my Cecilia always taught me, my Reiki, she always taught me that you do not kind of you don't fight. Like you don't fight cancer. You basically kind of ask it to leave your body and so forth. And it's like, you can look at so much of like the wilderness and I was thinking like animals in the wilderness, like how brutal some of that looks, but it's so natural, and we are a byproduct of that. So a lot in life is going to be hugging a toilet until you feel like you've got nothing more to give. That's just kind of the nature of the beast. It doesn't have to be evil. It's just not maybe fun or as pleasant as you'd like it to be. And then I was thinking too, it's a lot for me to say a lot of this stuff, where a lot of these people are also losing their loved one, and then it was sounding like a few of them were detailing like when they're going out, these people are passing away, that they're in a great deal of pain. And I guess that would be pretty. It's easy to say peace out on this stuff. It's one thing to have your child or your loved one that's going out on this, and they're hurting too. That's a tough thing. Though I think what I'm saying is in there, and I think it's accurate, because I think everything is kind of a blessing. Because some of it is a really dramatic, intense blessing, kind of in a way. I don't know. It's I have to wrap my head around that a little bit more, but judging certain things or are just really not where it's at. You want to embrace your experience, and it's like last night I had just this unfun dreams. I was getting really kind of threatened, like in a casual way, and then it got kind of intense, and then it just made me feel kind of this, I don't know, not so good about myself. Like I wasn't really, I was getting punked in my dream, which I don't like that. I get really whacked out. Like I think, like so much like when you're in your dream state, you're just kind of helpless to that, you know, your monkey mind and stuff. That monkey mind just kind of wants to grab any kind of thing it can play with and on. And your psyche on that just goes kind of ape. And this is, you know, yeah, it got me a little last night. And so I woke up, I was trying to kind of not really shake it off, but just kind of make kind of peace with that. And yeah, it was like the whole experience, like going through cancer. It gives you it also gives you a real opportunity to kind of check yourself, to kind of reevaluate what you're doing. But I mean, you can fall totally back into the same patterns, and not to say that I don't do the same on a weekly basis. It's weird. It's a weird thing. This human consciousness. But yeah, so that was kind of interesting today. Like I would see if I had anything else on that meeting. Okay, and then I was like, so anyways, I did tell y'all that he is from the original GBM site. So that was kind of a new, I hadn't heard one of my doctors yet articulate that. So his thought was that, yes, it is from that original GBM, which they just said, he was saying that, I think too, they just don't have a lot of research on it or something to really back it up. So a lot of stuff, they just don't have enough people surviving with this past a certain point to really figure out what happened. And a lot of us just do different protocols. We fall off with certain doctors. And so I think it makes that more difficult because you get taken out of the system. Like ideally, a doctor, I think, wants you to roll with them like through the entire process. And then they could also make, you know, a thorough study of you. It just gets harder with all the different things that are offered out there for someone going through that experience, not to get deviated, to not do different things. Yeah, so he was kind of like, he didn't really know. Yeah, so he was the first that's kind of said he thinks it's from that same spot. So like the crab leg, so to speak, it had slivered off and then formed a little something. Or it had been there for so long and then it just got, I don't know what. Like I had told him, I didn't mention this one on this show, but I told him that I thought, or the other doctor actually, that I thought I'd given myself brain cancer from basically having such negative speak and being kind of so constantly down with my monkey mind or my thinker, was really kind of being very negative. And I thought I was like depressed for a while, had a lot of anxiety, and then that kind of coupled with the with headaches. I mean, that was when I first got diagnosed. I was trying to get on antidepressants because I thought I was depressed, and I was having a real intense headache, so that it would make me forget like anything that I was thinking about, and I just couldn't do a lot of stuff, and I just really had to I was really faking it a lot. So I was trying to act like I was getting by and doing okay. Eventually got me pretty good, but I was still swinging with it. But yeah, it was pretty bad. But yeah. So that turns out that anti-seizure meds was pretty vital. And also, I think I might have to get on my stool softener. The exciting things of a lot of these medications just really jack your whole body out of whack. And I can't find it. I had it somewhere. My mom came over for Christmas and kind of reorganized me. So it's like I gotta refine stuff, you know. But that may be on my list too. I noticed I was a little tough this morning, but all good. But the glamour, which reminded me, I gotta tell you this other story. On my first JVN, I just had this major brain surgery, and everyone was so excited, family, friends, because it looked like I had made it, and it looked like it was a successful brain surgery, and this was God that did it. That was his nickname, I think I told John. And yeah, so I remember then I was back in my, I finally gotten back to, it takes you a little while to get back into your normal room at the hospital and from surgery. And so I'd finally gotten back there, and they had mixed up my stool softener. And apparently back then I was on some serious constipation drugs, and I was in my little private bathroom. I think maybe my mom was out in the room just waiting. And I was going there trying to use the bathroom, and I really thought I was basically, I think I was naked on the toilet. And then I was like, man, I think I'm gonna pass out. It hurt so bad that I literally was about to blank. It's just so funny how you can go from, you know, one extreme where you're so preoccupied, you know, with surviving, you know, brain surgery. I mean, someone's gonna, you know, cut into my skull, I guess, remove a cap, and then take out a bunch of tissue and stuff. And then a few days later, you're on the toilet, and you got a whole different set of priorities. You know, it's pretty funny. And so I was like in there, I was thinking, all right, I'm gonna pass out. I'm gonna fall off this toilet, and yeah, that's gonna be a hoot. Didn't happen. I just hung in there. I tried practicing some patience, and and that was one of the things you had to do. You had to have a bowel movement, and you had to inject. I had to inject myself with some blood thinner stuff. I think it was blood thinner stuff. Yeah, and that was a hoot too. Trying to stick yourself with a needle. Not too big on that. And what else? I mean, you had to, you know, get the catheter out. I think you had to pee, but I think that was pretty straight up, if I remember. But that was a big thing, getting the catheter out. I was like, oh, thank you. The glamour. And then, too, I was so greasy. I had really long hair at the time. When they did the brain surgery, they just did it like in a, like from one ear to the other, they just cruised over with like a buzz. And then I had this really like swollen, kind of puffy scar, like going straight across kind of my head. And they literally use Frankenstein staples, like just these. It looks ridiculous. And I took a funny photo of myself, and I kept my hair like that for a little bit. And so I had like this patch right up in my front, and then I had the slit across it, and then the scar in the middle, and then the back was like real long and greasy. And they didn't bathe me at all in there, except for one time they didn't bathe me. And but I had one real sweet girl bathe me, and I had one girl that wasn't sweet. I wanted the other one. So it was a threesome. I just wanted the nice one. I didn't want that other girl. But yeah, so the hospital experience is definitely a trip, and going into it, yeah, it really is. It's, I don't know, something about being in like fluorescent lights. I don't know, it's just not very. I was just looking up to see if I was in fluorescent lights here, but I don't think it is. But yeah, it's funky going through that process for sure. For sure. Doesn't seem very irate. Well, I'm going to read one of these things. This is, did you know that 102.3 FM WHIVLP New Orleans has been broadcasting for the past 5 years? We are able to honor independent voices with your support. We are selling online, and they're pretty cool. I almost wore mine today, but I opted for my SpongeBob tank top. T-shirts, but online they got T-shirts, hoodies, fanny packs, and more. Make great gifts or treat yourself. We also have knit caps because it's kind of chilly. Simply go to whiv.org and click store. That's whivfm.org. Thanks, y'all. We are not a radio station with a mission. We are a mission with a radio station. End all wars. I think I say every time I read that, I like to ponder that. How would you end all wars? I think it's a little out of our hands, but I think the best way you can do that is to look in the mirror and don't judge yourself. Don't judge others. Treat others as you would yourself. How about that? Very simple. End all wars. Yeah. Don't form massive groups, gangs. Maybe. I don't know. Never join a group that would have you as a member. Is that Woody Allen? Or no, that's, I think, Mark Elaine told me that. I think that is actually Groucho Marx. Or maybe not. Maybe it was something else I said. I have to take that back. I think Woody Allen did say it, but maybe he was paraphrasing that. Yeah, it sounds more like a Woody Allen. It doesn't sound like as much like a Groucho. But, yeah, groups are kind of tough. They get a very group ego-y thing, and you can really lose yourself pretty quickly in a group. You start finding your identification, and I think it allows you to do a lot of things that are just kind of not as, I don't know, something. I think it takes away some of the one person kind of thing, how you treat people. I mean, it's like people aren't in your groups, and then they're not as, you know, and then that's something that definitely relates to. Yeah, so I was going to talk, maybe the second part of the show is I'm going to talk more about kind of being in your moment, because this show is about brain cancer. I think we talked about that a fair amount, but there's always plenty more to go on that. But one of the things that really helped me out a lot was I started really just being in my moment, and also noticing my monkey mind. Pretty nice, you know, or pleasant, then I'd really say, you know, I'd notice it. And and that's like the first step. It's what? It's like if you're an alcoholic, I think the first step is saying you are, or saying there you have a problem, or hitting rock bottom or something like that. I guess my sort of rock bottom was cancer. Oh, maybe so. But yeah, so it was kind of funny when I was still in the hospital. I got some gifts. When you get sick, people give you stuff. It's like a little baby Christmas. So one of them was some Eckhart Tolle CDs. And I remember first putting it on, I just did not like his voice at all, because it was like what you mean, like an author's thing, like the book on disc. And so he has like kind of an accent. I mean, he definitely has an accent. I guess it's some European kind of thing. And I was just like, nah, I don't want to listen to that at all. And I started listening to some like Reiki music or something that was really soothing. And so yeah, so I put it. I didn't come, and it's so funny because it seems like so much in life. It's like you have the thing that you need all the time with you. Like you have it, you just don't know you have it, or you've missed. You look at it. Oh, there it is. I had this the whole dang time. So anyway, so I didn't like it. I put it away, and I was still kind of definitely suffering with stuff. My marriage was going through a lot of difficulty. I mean, like pretty serious. I mean, I guess with these kind of I don't know cancers, but I guess it's also how long it runs. I got my friend, who's has his mom has cancer, and he was just telling me the other day that his parents were getting a divorce, and they've been married, forever and a day, and just seem real sweet together. But I guess it can wear on you and stuff. So I don't know. I kind of lost what I was talking about there, but on that little deviation, my mind was thinking of multiple things. But oh yeah, like you have it with you all the time. Like you have your peace of mind with you all the time. It's just like, are you embracing it or are you accepting it? And most of the time we're just not. And we're creating our own anxiety kind of crazy talk, and you don't really, that's your choice. You can really practice making peace regardless of the situation. Like there's some examples. Like I always use the, what was it? Now I can't remember the guy's name. But anyways, basically a scene from Apocalypse Now where Robert Duvall's on the beach and there's this surfer with him, and the surfer is like freaking out because it just looks brutal, and he's his bombs are going off, and he's not into this. Whereas Robert Duvall he is loving it. Things are blowing up on him. He's at bliss. This is like his paradise. Whereas the surfer, he's just like freaking out on the beach. The bombs going off. Robert Duvall is telling him to go out there and surf because they got some some nice sets coming in, and he's just like, it's just crazy. And so yeah, it's just all relative, it really is. And then with more peace, you can extend that out where you see a lot of things can be kind of brutal, and but I mean, still, it is the way it is, and it's kind of, and it's really a judgment call on you, how you're taking it. Like going through cancer, losing a loved one. I mean, it's so much about them being with you, or you can kind of embrace them and keep that with you, or you can look at it as just like the worst thing, or that I think that has happened to you. I think, I think trying to really peace out on it is definitely the way to go, or not judging yourself too. That's pretty much what the source, and then you extend that to others. Yeah. So maybe I'll take a moment and we'll all just breathe. That's another thing with the monkey mind. It's like meditation. Just take a moment and ask yourself, am I breathing? Just ask yourself that. Take a moment and say, am I breathing? And then to do that, you kind of have to listen to your breath and take notice of it. Mm-hmm. There you go, a little meditation. And that's the key thing too, is it is all a little meditation. You're not doing any kind of like 20-minute meditation or something like that. No, you're only going to meditate in your moment, and that's just right now. Be meditating in the future. You're not meditating in the past, you're meditating right now. And that's really all you got. And I think that monkey mind, I think that's basically also an eternity. You're now. And I think in a lot of ways, you are life. Life, without you. And I was thinking that too, like with the family that I've lost, or friends that I've lost. It's like you think everything's going to be so different, like kind of when they're gone, and then you just get into the same. It's like, oh, okay. But yeah, it's just missing that entity with you, that partner. But yeah, so the Eckhart Tolle stuff. So then I didn't come back to it. It was in like a bag I had, and then I had this friend that introduced me to it, and it's like, you gotta listen to this. And it's like he was like tripping out on it. I was like, all right. And then I really clicked with me. I guess I was like ready for it. And then I just got to where I was like listening to it. I had it on like I just put it on all my stuff. Like I had it on like a little iPod thing that I had, so I was listening to music and stuff. And I would put it on, and my whole family got to be kind of crazy because it was like this guy talking. So they come into a room, and I'm just listening to this guy, and they go, "Oh God, you listening to that again?" I'm like, "Yeah," because there's a lot to process. It was kind of about somebody just telling you about being in your moment, not identifying with the thinker, that monkey mind, that you are basically the awareness of that. Like there's almost like a separate entity inside you or in your consciousness that can observe and listen to that thinker. Because there is that, then you know there's something else. Otherwise, I think the analogy is that you would just be like in a dream where you don't realize you're dreaming. You are the thinker, so you can't separate out of it. That you can step, I guess, out of your dream sometimes and then realize that your dreaming is the same thing, that there is a separate consciousness in that experience. Just like it is with our waking hours, where we're getting a kind of almost constant chatter in some sense from our thoughts, our thinker. But then we also have the ability to step back from that and listen and be aware of that chatter. And I think that's a very that really helped me so much, because like I said, I had a lot of negative speak prior to my brain cancer diagnosis. And I guess it's something too, and even to today, I ain't lying. It ain't easy. I mean, it's something you practice, and you don't have to be too hard on yourself about it when you mess up. That was the biggest, I think, healing factor for me after my tissue loss. I could barely carry a conversation and keep on it. I was constantly dropping out, and I really, with a little bit of, like I said, I was listening to a lot of the Tully stuff, but like a lot of it, I was kind of relaxing on myself, and I wasn't trying to judge myself too much, which is a huge, I think, healing factor. I think it is. As soon as I started really like not being too hard on myself that I couldn't do things or that I was messing up all the time, it really was a beautiful, sweet thing. Because then I think I started this. I was like, all right, I'm a little banged up. It's all right. I can work with this. And I just started having like little catchphrases. I think like, whoops, I lost that one, which I was always doing. Like, whoops, that's gone. Maybe it'll come back. And it's funny how our memories are. Like, sometimes you can think, man, I can't remember any of that. And then it just cues in like a little thing like dreams. Like you'll have this one experience today, and then tonight, that little thing reminded you of something else that reminded you of something else, and it takes you on this bizarre little journey. But gratitude, always going back to gratitude, like to the universe, for gratitude for being. Yeah, definitely. Thank you. It's like so often we just forget about really just giving thanks, and it doesn't have to be to some white-haired gentleman in a robe. It can be to just everything that is, just a big old thank you. But yeah, man, that's a trip. So the Tully thing goes back to also separation, not really separation, but noticing one's ego. And by ego, it kind of means the thinker, or the, and I kind of related that to myself, where like your death, which is one hears as a part of life by observation, I guess, and what people tell you. Yeah, I think it's like, you fluff off your ego, which is kind of what most of us, myself probably included, think of as ourselves, really. Not that awareness spirit. We like the fun stuff, the toys, but with that comes a lot of the pain, the hurt. But yeah, but I think getting away from like a lot of negative stuff, whatever, and judging, and really, I mean, I know it's kind of like, well, how can I not judge stuff? I mean, very true, but I don't know. You can lessen that, and that is the baggage of so much of what this goes through. I was another thing what I did right after, because I had a business, and so then it was like a real quandary. Like, what am I going to do with myself? So I was really pretty worried. Like, what could I do? I mean, at the time, I was really blanking out a lot. So I like doing stuff, you know, because of my monkey mind. It was like, yeah, let's do something. So that was kind of a given. So I could work hard, but I was very scattered, and I guess I still kind of am. I take a lot of notes, but I was saying I wrote a children's book. Like in my other business that I'd had, then we decided to shut it down, and because I was having difficulty, I guess, functioning with that too, and I guess my partner was kind of sick of that. So, but then yeah, I definitely was sweating bullets because it was something to do, but it was also kind of like repressive. Like it got to a point where it was like a retail shop, so it was a fun retail shop, mind you, but still, it was retail, and that's got its own burdens. Anyway, so during that, I'd always been like an artist. I was like drawing a lot, and so I started doing this one black Indian, like from like, you know, the New Orleans vibe. And for some of you who don't know it, back in the day, some African slaves would run away to the swamps, and then the swamps were, you know, pretty foreign to them. So they would team up with some Indians. The Indians would help them, and they came back into the city and kind of started this own like subculture to celebrate their kind of union and their experience with the local tribes that surrounded New Orleans and the swamps. But yeah, so anyway, I started drawing this, and I was like, for my art, I was doing a lot of narrative stuff, so stories. I was really am really into that. So I like taking things from like reality. So I love finding like old photographs where there's like who is this guy? And you could kind of like make up your own kind of character of what he was and what his life was like. And I did that with like a little Indian that I found, this old faded photograph where I had to almost make up what his suit was. Because they dress up in these really cool suits, and a lot of them have like basically stories all over them, you know, sewn on beads. And so yeah, so I just had fun playing around with that idea. So I wrote this kid's book, and I kept drawing this one character, and then I just picked a local publisher to publish it and sent it in. They picked it, so I was really happy with that because I didn't know what I was. I'd love to have somebody just kind of validate your I don't know, your work ethic or something. So that was kind of cool. And then I just really fell in love with the character. I mean, I just adored thinking about the kid, and he was like an 8-year-old, and so I had a lot of fun with that. And then, but it was also kind of tough too. I noticed I had a lot of kind of yin and yang with it. Like I'd be working on a page one day, and I think it was great. The next day, I'd work on something, I was thinking it was just junk. And I still do that a little bit. I need to kind of balance it out, where you don't get too. And it's kind of fun to, you know, blissing out and really having joy and just submerging yourself in that. But I guess that's kind of the give and take of it. You want to live by the sword. You're gonna die by it. The pendulum comes back, which is part of the ego trip. Monkey mind. Out of the monkey mind. And that was Red Priest. I did a kid's book, so that's really fun. I got like a prequel and a sequel of it. But I'm changing the character because I kind of want to do my own thing. I don't really want to work with the publisher anymore. Don't tell them. It's a secret. But yeah, so I figured if I change the character and make him like a different age in both of them, and I change the suits, change the names to protect the innocent, I can still do Indian books, right? And I found out that I was pretty stoked on this. I found out my dad was big on that genealogy thing, and found that I had one of my great grandmothers was a Cherokee out of I think it was Tennessee, I'm pretty sure it was Tennessee, and she married some Scottish guy. So that was pretty cool. And then I also did this one big thing where I became, like, maybe 6 months ago or a year ago, I became an Irish citizen because my grandfather was born in Dublin, and that was kind of fun too. Kind of fun hearing the history and stuff of different people, and I don't know. But anyway, the Indian thing, I just kind of like that. I've always, since I was a kid, liked Indians. I guess I liked cowboys too, but Indians. And I'm reading this new book. It's pretty wild. It's like all the Comanches in Texas. And it's pretty something. Goes back to like the brutality of kind of animals. I mean, they're doing, and I guess anytime too, you're in a process of gutting animals a lot. You can do some pretty horrific things in the counter because some people take issue with this. I know. I just think we're just animals, basically. More nerve endings that congregated in our brain area, something like that. And but yeah, the art is such a cool thing. Yeah, art. Okay, so like the kids, but I mean, it was a really good process, and it's something I really encourage everybody to do is do a little artistic expression. I mean, that can almost be anything that you take as an art. Anything. I'm going to say I've seen everything taken to some degree where you would think, who's going to take this thing so seriously? I mean, it's kind of silly or whatever. Ain't no big deal. And then somebody's taking it crazy serious, you know? I mean, they're taking it like to the nth degree. This is the most important. They're putting all their energy, all their passion into it. This goes back to, I guess, the relativity and kind of you create your reality. So it didn't really work today. Today I was going to try and do on Facebook where I was going to have people type in questions, kind of like I was suggesting, like a Dear Abby. Had a few people on there, but nobody asked me a single question. Though I haven't mastered that yet because you got to kind of look at the screen and figure that out. But I kind of put the position. So. But yeah, so it's just, try not to be hard on yourself. Try and practice that. Just really try and notice your moment, like little things. Like I was thinking, I was really preaching this is because I just took a pretty decent road trip, a couple of them. Is about making peace with drivers. Like practice really not getting upset with people driving. I mean, really practice that. I mean, really try and embrace that, they're just kind of doing a thing. Are you really that much in a rush all the time? I don't know. But, yeah, that's a good practice. And, like, to take into your moment, notice things like just textures and stuff. Like, every once in a while, like, really feel something and really notice the sensations of it and try and bring yourself back as much as you can into your present moment. And you do not have anxiety in the now. You're out there thinking of the future, what's going to happen, and you're not depressed now. You're depressed from you're bringing things into your mind. You're thinking about things in the past. Like your moment is typically pretty good, and you should really practice being grateful. And yeah. Whoa. Everybody's getting geared up, and we got a good radio show coming. So on that note, I think I'm going to queue up, Excuse me. I'm good, thank you. So I'm gonna try and cue up, man, my monkey mind. So this is another artistic thing. I just this year turned 50. I wrote my first song, and let's see if I'm on this thing. And anyway, so it's fun. I always wrote a lot. Like I said, the narrative, it kind of synced up with my art. I was like combining stories. So it's kind of like writing in a way. And this looks like my. So then this is a song. Shoot, I guess I gotta do that. I think I'm out. Okay. Tripping out. No, that ain't gonna work, Rob. Yeah, I forgot that. Okay. So this is via my cell phone. This song. Whoops. Whoa, okay, that just tripped out. What? All right, that did not go too well. Back to this. Technical difficulties. My little monkey. Watch out, those goddamn monkeys bite, I tell you. Bite me. I want you to bite me, monkey. I don't really care, you're not mine, all mine. You with me all the time. Hey, monkey. Feel you, but we ain't one. Hey, monkey. Help, I love that monkey. Don't we all love our monkeys? Help, I love that monkey, that monkey, that monkey, that monkey. Monkey, I wanna love you when I feel you, you my monkey. Yeah, you're right. Oh, my little monkey, yeah. Oh, bite me, baby. You can bite me, monkey. I don't really care, you're not mine, all mine. You with me all the time. Hey, monkey. Ooh, the crew is coming in. On next, listen to us live. Red Priest. Love that monkey, that monkey, that monkey, that monkey man. Ooh. All right. You all out there, y'all love yourselves, okay?
Okay.
Love it. Love yourself.
I love
Big
me.
kiss, big hug. Take her easy. Peace out.
Him and Alex.
We know. Whoa.
Whoa. Like that, Rob.
Hey.
Like the
Hey,
shirt,
clean
man.
cut.
Bob, yeah.
Mr. SpongeBob, Mr. SquarePants.
SpongeBob. SpongeBob, I like that.
How your show go, Rob?
It was horrible, man.
Man, we heard you singing.
You heard my singing. You son of a bitch.
Facebook Yellow Show.
Huh?
Facebook Yellow Show.
Yeah, I'm not sure how it worked that good. What is going on here? I'm tripping out. All right. Ah. 13, 2, 5, 6, 9. What was it? Okay, you need to shut up now.
All right. So I'll do a song.
Which one? Yeah.
Yeah, I'll do a playing of that song.
Play it.
Yeah.
We got a guitar.
13,
Upside down, yeah, on the tape.
I do.
Oh, man. Record.
Yikes, man.
Where's my box?
Where's my box?
Hey, right? Here's it.
Justin, 1, 2.
1, 2, 3. Oh, yeah. You can hang your jacket on.
And my jacket on it.
I don't know about that.
All right. How are we doing here?
Sure.
Pretty good.
Why?
That's what I was doing.
I'm gonna try
You know,
and
it's cool.
play something off my phone just for a minute.
Like this, man.